connect to my phone. Like if I connected to like the car, and so I'd be in the middle of a story.
Welcome to Kidmin Backstage, the place where we talk about kids ministry and take a peek behind the scenes. We try to share a little bit of what we've learned that works for us and some of our failures so you can avoid them. We release a new episode every Friday, and this is your Backstage Pass to see the magic or disaster that happens behind the scenes of our kids ministry. I'm your host, Gabe Baker, and today I am joined by Brother Aaron Boggs.
Hello, sir.
How's it going?
Great. I'm just had a birthday yesterday.
That's right.
And
I
I'm
forgot
feeling
to
it.
text you.
I was I was hurt. There's only about 4 or 5 people that text me every year, and you're one of them.
Oh, I
and you
saw
didn't.
it, and I forgot because I saw it really early, and I was
Yeah.
like, he's probably sleeping.
It's too early.
I didn't want to text you right away, and then
At least you thought about it.
yeah, goodness. All right, well, what are we talking about today?
Job description.
Job description. So, true leadership shows up in the spaces between the bullet points.
True.
Like between the lines.
Yeah.
So, titles and task lists, they can't capture that quiet consistency that happens, kind of basically backstage, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so I had this thought, and I can't use the example because it's really negative. But I had this thought the other day because I was thinking, doing a job well, or being a good leader, or being a huge asset in a ministry of any kind requires a lot more than what's quote unquote posted in the job description.
True.
And so I've worked with a lot of people in the business world that don't understand that.
Yeah.
And it's like they punch in, punch out, or whatever,
Yeah.
I think I used a time clock one time in my life, but
Yeah, one time.
but like that idea, it's like just getting their time in.
Yeah.
And those that are truly indispensable, and especially I think this applies to leaders, it's way more than what fits into that. It's just like, it's sometimes like the word I use sometimes is unquantifiable. It's not necessarily things you can point at and say, well, I like them because this. I mean, sometimes you can.
Yes.
But sometimes it's just like, they just get it.
They get it.
And
they're there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of, the occupation I'm in, I'm a CNA, and so we work closely with nurses, and it's pediatric. It's a very unique place. So super quick. They live, these pediatric patients live in this unit that we have.
Okay.
They don't come and go.
Oh, wow.
So they're there 24/7, and we take care of them. And so we have nurses and CNAs. And there's some nurses that are just phenomenal. I'm so happy when I get to work with them because things get busy. We get them up for school. They have issues. We change them. There's just days. The day schedule goes out the window oftentimes because of medical issues. But what really impresses me is we have certain nurses there that you can tell, nurses that were CNAs and then became a nurse, and those that became a nurse without being a CNA. Because every single time, those that were CNAs, I'll catch them in there like changing one of my patients that I hadn't got to yet. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? This is my job. Like, get away. Stop. I'm playing with them, but they get it. They're like, oh, I was in between rounds. Meds are done. Everything's good. They were wet. I just changed them. That kind of attitude over everything. And so to me, that's kind of what this means is it's not in their job description per se, but they go above and beyond. They stay late, even though they might have to stay late because of doing something that simple. They see the need. They complete the task. It's not in their job description, but they just do what needs to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's totally it. And I have been in, especially in the church world and even in the business world for a little while now. But I've been in leadership positions, the titles or whatever, for quite some time, and I've seen both kinds so many times.
Yeah.
You see the people that are just like, I mean, sometimes, like talking about leadership, sometimes people just want the title of true. Oh, I am even if it's not a total leadership position, but like I am a singer, whatever,
Sure.
you know, they just want
Sure.
to be able to, and you can tell.
You can
like
tell.
that's all they're wanting
Yeah.
out of the job. And then sometimes, what was the other thing I said? Oh, sometimes they just want to be on the platform
True.
or up front. You know,
Yeah.
maybe it's not the platform, but somewhere else, like in Sunday school.
Yeah.
They might just want to be up front. And so it was interesting today. We have somebody that's fairly new. A lot of times I'll mention staff name. I think I'm going to keep this one. But somebody that's fairly new, and we were in practice. And so, of course, we've been writing scripts lately that have a lot of dialogue,
Yeah.
in, you know, in the script itself. So we're in practice. Everybody's got their phones out, you know, which is fine, you know, and we're reading through the lines because what we're doing, kind of just a little thing that we're doing, a backstage, a peek behind the scenes,
Yeah.
is for our practice right now. We kind of read through the lines, and then when we go live, it's ad lib.
Yeah.
But we have that structure to
Yes,
follow.
it helps.
So anyway, we got our phones out and stuff. Well, this newer person, they didn't have anything out, and they nailed their lines.
Oh,
They
wow. I
nailed
was expecting
it.
this to go negative.
No, they nailed it, and I
Nice.
was so impressed. And it was funny because they texted me this morning. I was still getting ready. They texted me at like 7. I think it's 7 or 7:15 this morning, and we're asking about a certain part, like in review. How does this go or whatever? So I was
Good
like,
for
well,
them.
they're looking at the script.
Yeah.
And so,
Good.
so anyway, it's like things like that. And then somebody else told me, well, they said that they wanted to be in Sunday school more, you know, and they've been in a little bit more
Sure.
lately. But so it was just really neat to see, like,
For sure.
that's how you do it. You know,
Yes.
it's like you want to do something more. Well, do the work.
Do
you
the
know,
work.
do the work that's
Yeah.
behind the scenes or nobody sees, and it'll show. You know?
It will show every time.
What's the saying? Be so good they can't ignore you.
Yeah.
You know.
Love that.
So our first point is the invisible requirements. We kind of stomped all over it, but one of the things that I wanted to mention is attitude. So I think that a lot of time, like, you know, we talk about it in church world. We talk about attitude, and because it's a characteristic, right? It's a characteristic of Jesus. It's,
Yes.
it's a Christian attitude. But even in the business world, it matters. Like your attitude makes a difference in how successful you will be.
So true.
And I think, I mean, it is biblical, you
Yeah.
know? And I was thinking about this. I was actually thinking about this morning. I think that this is not something to solve. It's just something I noticed, and maybe you could chime in on any comments. But I was thinking, you know how sometimes, I grew up in construction world. Sometimes there's people that are really gruff and grouchy, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and stuff. And so, in the construction world, at least used to be, it's changed a lot, but it's kind of the norm, and kind of
Yeah,
like,
it's known.
I haven't really worked on boats or anything, but like that's
They're
known.
rough.
Yeah, rough and gruff, and that's how they handle situations. Well, I was thinking, like, I remember a few years ago, we would have this meeting every week, and it was to coordinate like technical aspects, some mechanical stuff, and everything. And it was a remote meeting, but there was one guy on there, and he was very, very good at his job, but he was very, very rude, and I mean, for one thing, he was really blunt, but he was also kind of rude.
There's a
sometimes,
difference.
you know?
Yeah.
And I thought it's interesting. Here's what I thought about this morning is that I think sometimes we tolerate the bad attitude the more prestigious or technical the work is.
Yeah.
If it's like, you know, a super technical job that nobody else can do, it's like we
take it.
tolerate, you know, and it seems wrong.
It does, because like the people that are like below them on the ladder,
Yeah.
you kind of view them as like the grunts that are easily replaceable. So if they have an attitude, all right, I'll get the next one.
Yeah.
But if
yeah.
somebody's prestigious or has this, you know, big title, it's
Yeah.
a little harder. It's a little easier to take that from them, I think.
Yeah, it's like if we were to use music, for example. Now, this does not happen in our church because pastor wouldn't put up with it. But let's just use a hypothetical. You know, you have a organ player that's just incredible, amazing organ player.
Yeah.
But they have a bad attitude, and they're not like sinning. I mean, obviously they're going to kick off a platform, but
Sure.
they're not sinning or anything like that, really. But they're negative and have a bad attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Well, should we tolerate that and have really good organ music?
See, that's
or
it.
And it's hard in the church
hard.
because
We want it
sometimes
to be the best.
sometimes you're begging for that too. Especially a smaller church.
Yeah.
You're begging for the talent.
Yeah.
And it's like, we finally got a piano player.
Yeah.
But their
I've seen
attitude's
that.
rotten.
I've seen that the few times I've been blessed to go to a few different churches and do little clinics or whatever we want to call it. We had a kind of an open night to where we just kind of jammed for a while, and this guy came up, and he wasn't at the previous practice. He was an older guy, and just shredded the guitar, shredded it. Was incredibly good. And then that night we had another practice, and that guy wasn't there. So I asked the pastor's wife. I'm like, "Hey, so what is this? What's this guy? He was incredible." She's like, "Yeah, but he's got she said these words. He's got a horrible attitude. He's good and he knows it." So it's like, man, what a blessing you could be if you just change your spirit.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Man.
Yeah.
But I could think about, like, in my world, let's bring it to kids ministry and Sunday school. We have, it's not that we haven't ever dealt with that. I mean, we have, I think we got a pretty good group now.
Yeah.
But we have some people we have different hierarchies of talent, right? Like different actors that, I know that they can do, pretty much any role, and then like I know some people like, okay, well, they can act a little bit, but they're not going to teach a lesson. They're not ready.
Sure.
Or they can't sing at all or something, that's fine. But anyway, but I know if we have somebody, even somebody that's super talented that can do, all the roles, like you could do basically anything that we do in Sunday school, that could do all the roles. And if they have a bad attitude, I'm not going to have them. It's just not worth it.
No, because that'll affect your team eventually.
Yeah, it does. It affects your team, and it's just. And the thing is it needs to be fun. Work, like when you're doing work and you're working together with a team, it's got to be fun.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy it at least to a certain degree, or else you're just not going to do a good job.
No, not at all.
And that kind of there's a few other notes here, but we just talked about that. But team compatibility, working well with others isn't optional; it's essential. You have to be able to work well with others. Mm-hmm. And so this goes back to like when our first statement. The job description, if you like get on Indeed or some of these sites, right?
Yeah.
The job description most of the time is going to tell the technical aspects of the job. Here's what you got to require to do. Mm-hmm. Do you have this degree? Do you know how to do this or whatever?
Yeah.
And I think some of it's a given, right? Like you got to show up on time, maybe be a little bit early. You got to don't leave early, There's some of these things, work hard while you're there. Those are a given. Yeah. But it's kind of like Pastor says all the time, like, we believe in Jesus' name baptism. And then he'll talk about some of this stuff actually with attitude. He'll talk about, gossiping is a sin. Do you believe in 100%. One God? Well, believe this too. This is a sin, And so I think that we kind of need to take that attitude almost like with, showing up on time is a given. Well, so is some of these other things. Yes. It's a given. You just got to do it,
It's funny because it's almost like in any job or any position, the attitude of that's beneath me just gets under my skin just because how we are wired. Man, you know what I mean? Like that's beneath me. Or like we don't really have this problem now. I don't think that if I really thought, I probably could find somebody. But like with our like praise team, for example, if that's all you do. Mm-hmm. That's good, right? Yeah. But the way our church is wired, it's like, well, if you're praising, and you should be, at the work day, you should be at the events that we have, not just one thing. Like spread yourself out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, and our church is not huge, but it's not just a little church anymore. We're not like a home missions, I guess you could say.
Right.
And so I think I haven't looked up the statistic in a while, but the average church in America at one point in time was 50 people.
Yeah.
And so we're quite a bit bigger than that now. But if you think about it, the dynamics are different in every church. But I think even in large churches, like there's a church I'm thinking of in particular that's about double our size.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of the people in that church, and they still wear all kinds of hats. They're
Isn't that
still
something?
doing all kinds of things. And so I think that there might be a bigger step from 50 to 300 or whatever.
Sure.
But I think it's just is always the case.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of, I don't know, maybe it changes somewhere, but
Yeah.
maybe when you start hiring people, which we don't have very much paid staff. So,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So another note I wrote. There we go. Competence beyond the checklist.
Yes.
And so I wrote this note: excellence over obligation. And this is like, I think, at the core of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I try to embody this as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just fulfilling the obligation, like, well, this is, I did my job,
Yeah.
is excellence. And I talk about this on so many levels, but like, I want the reputation of, if you get Brother Gabe to do that, then it's going to be
Yes.
spot on, right?
Yeah.
Here's a little example. Not that I'm perfect. I make mistakes all the time, but so we were doing a fundraiser, and so I set up tables and chairs. Well, I have this.
That's below you.
Yeah. So I have this little trick I do till after we get them all set up. Then I line the backs up. So my daughter came in this morning for practice, and she's like, man, the chairs are perfect. She's like, I almost took a picture. She's like, because they're just a super neat row. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, 4 or 5 tables long, and it's just this row of chairs.
Yeah.
And so they get messed up immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as people sit down, they get messed
Mm-hmm.
up. And doesn't matter. I mean, what if they were just kind of close? Probably not. It's not going to matter. They're probably not going to even care
Sure.
or notice. But it's one of those things, it's an excellence. And so that's how I want to be.
Right.
I want people to know me, and that's how I want to be, is I want to be excellent,
Mm-hmm.
not just fulfill the obligation.
No.
Not just fulfill that job description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes down to, I've struggled with this aspect of, you get asked to do something and you really want to do it. Like, man, that would be really cool to do. But you're like, and I think for me, it's probably a confidence thing to a point, but it's like, I have no idea how to do that. Why would they ask me how to do it? And
Yes.
but you see people like you are a prime example, or a pastor or someone like that, to where it's like, oh yeah, okay, we don't know how to do this. Okay, let's Google it. Let's look it up. Let's YouTube it. Let's figure it out. You don't know how to do it. You just figure it out, and that's where that excellence comes from too. I think is just you just figure out how to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, and this leads into our next thing, the bleed over principle.
I knew that. No, I'm kidding.
So, like, where I thought you were going with this, but this happens a lot too, is we see somebody that is excellent at something,
Mm-hmm.
so we just kind of assume
Yeah.
that, they must know how to do, something that's kind of closely related.
Yeah.
Like you do so much music,
Mm-hmm.
somebody might assume that you can run the soundboard.
Yeah. No clue. Not a
And
clue.
So it's like,
Which I should, but I don't.
but I think that the more we can be that way, the
Yeah.
better. The more
Sure.
that, and that's the bleed over principle that I think about is, I think that skills often they spill over. So when you become, and this happens at work all the time, peripheral things, but when you become really good at a job, even if it's a narrow job, and you just become super, super good at it,
Mm-hmm.
there's spillover effect, because now when you do something else, you're so used to being super good,
Yeah.
or putting so much effort,
Yeah.
that you do that here.
Yes.
And so, like what you said
That's
about
true.
sometimes it's hard to say no. You want to say yes to something,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you're talking about in the context if you don't know how to do it or not. But I think that also what I have found lately, I guess in my old age and maturity,
Yeah.
is that sometimes I need to say no to something, because if I say yes, I'm going to give it, or I need to give it X amount of effort. I need to really put all into it. So don't say yes to something that you know you don't have the passion for, or that you don't have the time for.
Sure.
You know, and there's a fine line. Obviously,
Sure.
I mean, and if your pastor says it, then you just say yes. But there's a fine line, obviously, because I mean, we could take ourselves out of everything if we're not careful.
Yeah.
But if you can like look at something and say, you know, hey, we want to start a small group singing or whatever or something, you know, whatever, I don't know. And you're like, okay, that sounds really cool. But I don't really have the capacity to do that because these other things are priority.
Right.
But coming back to the bleed over effect, I think that like in Sunday school, we joke all the time about your brother Joey Boggs. You know, he's a product of Sunday school and his evangelism journey. Yeah. And Brother Brian Critcher. And so I do think that there's bleed over effect though when you are in Sunday school and you do really well, and you like speaking in front of the kids or whatever, then what happens is it helps you be better in these other areas.
Absolutely.
And it's a bleed over. I mean, like an example is just this past Friday, we had somebody preach for the first time, at least in our youth. They preached, they did a really good job. And part of that, it was several factors, but part of it stemmed from they led songs at youth and did a really good job, and they just were trying to be excellent. You know?
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's I guess, and there's a flip side of the bleed over, right? If somebody's lazy on like they just like if they just never clean stuff, that's to me that's a sign like oh, I don't know, you know. I mean, you don't have to be, you know, a clean freak or something, but that's just one example. I remember there's a book, and I'm usually very good at remembering authors. I don't remember the author of this book, but it's called The 5-Star Church. And he likens it, I think it's to hotels, and talks about like 5-star different. So I don't remember all the details, but one of the things, I believe it's in that book. One of the things he says, like when he goes to I think it's a restaurant maybe, is the first thing he would do is go to the restroom. And from the restroom, if the restroom was dirty or whatever, it was like he was basically done. It was like, this is nope. And if it was really clean, then there was other things to judge, but it was like, okay, good start.
That's good.
So I thought that was interesting. And so there's little things, and this is not about cleanliness, but I just thought of that example.
Sure.
You know, if somebody is just always late, it's not a good sign. I mean, they might be excellent and they might have good character and everything, but it's just not a good sign, you know.
It's like pulling up to a church that there's weeds and trash and
it matters. Like Pastor talks about the inhibitors to growth. You know, like man, I don't want to get off track too much, but he talks about that. You know, like God's church is designed to grow. Yeah, we are designed to grow, and so our job isn't like to figure out how we can grow and find the quote unquote steroids to grow. Yeah. Our job is to remove the inhibitors to growth. It's true. Pull the weeds, you know, and do all that. And so I think this applies in this bleed over is, you know, we're made to be excellent. And I guess that's another thing to go off on a tangent here is everybody, it's not just like us special people up here. Sure. There's nothing special about us. Everyone is made to be excellent.
Yeah, we're designed that way.
We're designed that way. And so I guess maybe for somebody, you need to start thinking of yourself that way. Instead of pointing at, you know, I get compliments all the time from people that listen to this podcast, and I enjoy it. Keep them coming. I love the compliments. But instead of pointing at, you know, the person over there that happens to have a platform. Yeah. We just happen to start a YouTube channel, whatever. Yeah. We're nothing special. No. You're just as special. Right. And you have just as much ability. Absolutely. Or potential, I should say. You know, you have just as much potential. Right. To have every bit of ability and platform. Absolutely. So, amen. Excellence. Okay, before we're getting very close to running out of time. So Get the right people on the bus. I wanted to talk about this. Have you ever read Jim Collins' Good to Great?
Yes.
Okay. So
Phenomenal book.
Awesome book. And so he talks about, it's been a long time since I read it, so I don't remember
Me
all
too.
the details. But one of the things that has stuck with me, there's two big things. The flywheel, which is a whole nother podcast, but getting the right people on the bus. And so he talks about getting the right people on the bus before assigning seats even. And the idea, or at least what I extrapolated from it, is when you can get the right person on your team. And so let's bring it back to Sunday school and kind of what we talked about earlier. There's we do a lot of acting in our Sunday school.
Yeah.
It's very acting heavy. And so you could have somebody that's a great actor and they're bad apple, they're going to make the little barrel rotten and all that.
Yes.
But if you have somebody that's good, it's like Krista, when she started, she's fairly new. She was like, I was like, is there a specific area? She was asking if she could be in. And she's like, I'll do anything. I was like,
You're
I signed
hired.
her up right there. Love that attitude.
Yep.
And so if somebody, is like that and they're willing to do anything, and then anything you give them, they're excellent at, that's the right person on the bus.
Yes.
I remember a long time ago, I was riding back with the CEO of the company. It was a weird circumstance that ended up where he just got a convertible, and we were leaving at the same time or something, or I think we were done with a meeting or something. And he's like, "Hey, you want to ride with me?" So I got to ride with the CEO of this company that I work for.
Nice.
And so it was a really cool experience. It was about an hour drive. But we were talking, and he was asking me about somebody that I had worked with. He had heard the name. And so I was like, I said, yeah, he's extremely good at what he does. He was like a HVAC specialist guy. He was an engineer, and he was like, this was what was interesting to me. He was approaching it from like this whole bus analogy, I think, because he said, so what would we hire him for? And at first I thought the question was, I thought it was obvious, or the answer was obvious. I thought, well, he's an engineer. He's an HVAC engineer. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
But I realized, okay, he already knows that. So he's asking, what would we hire him for?
Yeah.
And, we had a conversation about it and everything. I was just saying, he's really bright. He's good at scheduling. He's good at, working with subcontractors, all these different things. But I thought, what a different outlook. Most people are like, we have this open position, and this,
Yeah.
And then, like, you see companies that say we're always hiring or whatever. I think that maybe in a micro level is the same idea.
Sure.
Is like, if we can find the right people.
Yeah.
And so that guy, I don't know if he ever got hired or not, but the example of the right person on the bus is like that guy. It's like, we might not have a position yet, but let's get him. Let's hire him.
That's incredible to me right there.
Yeah.
They're so indispensable. Yeah, he's the HVAC guy, but that anything. Well, I mentioned this on that last podcast we did, was whatsoever the hand findeth to do it with might.
Yes.
You just know that, hey, he might not be doing HVAC if we hire him, but we know that he's good. Whoever we give him to do, hey, do this, and you never have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's just going to get done.
Yeah, exactly.
That attitude is so indispensable.
It is. It's so powerful. I, on the flip side, and I hate to say this, but the negative side is what actually sparked this podcast. On that, the other side of this,
Sure,
is I think that there's some people in the church and in ministry and work too, but that you can work with, and like sometimes we get really busy, and so you don't maybe sit down and articulate it, but there's some people we work with, and it's just like, there's A and B, and you work with person A, and it's a wonderful experience, and you get done, and it's so much fun.
yeah,
And you enjoyed it. It was great, and you don't really think about it, but it was good. It was a good experience. And then you're doing something very similar, and you're working with a different group of people or different person, and it feels like the cogs. It's just like a struggle every turn, every corner.
Yes.
And you don't know why, but you get done, you're like, I'm not doing that
God,
again.
that's over.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, and I think sometimes we can blame it on the job,
Sure.
We could say, I'm not doing that job again.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I had to, rake the parking lot, it was a nightmare. Last time I had to set up tables and chairs, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not the job, it's the people you did the job with.
Sure.
And so that's what spawned this podcast, as I was thinking of a negative situation, and it was that experience. It was like, I just did this not too long ago, and why is it so hard this time?
Yeah.
And I had a chance to sit back and articulate, and that's where this podcast came from. Is I was like, this is why.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's because there's so many things that are not on the job description, not on the checklist, like that they can say, well, we did this, we did that, we did the other. It's the things in between the bullet points. Those things that make a difference.
They do.
Man.
Love it.
Okay, well, we're out of time, so let's do a recap really quick. The invisible requirements. So just those
attitude
things
matters.
like in between. The attitude matters, team compatibility, you got to work with team, and then being consistent, showing up, be early, leave late.
Yeah.
And this, I guess, applies to, this is a Kidmin podcast, but this applies so much to work too.
Oh, man.
If you apply this at work, if you're not already doing this and you apply this at work, you're going to get a raise.
Yep. 100%.
90-day money back guarantee.
Yes.
And then number 2, competence beyond the checklist. So excellence over obligation, and that bleed over principle.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really say this phrase, but guard against sloppiness. That's same bleed over principle, basically.
Absolutely.
If you're sloppy in this area, well, it's going to tend to be
bleed over.
Tend to be sloppy in some other area. I've done it. I've been
there.
I'm like, this doesn't matter, and then I realize, wait,
nothing matters.
This doesn't matter either. And then get the right people on the bus. That principle. So character first, competence completes the character, and culture carriers. And one thing, let me mention this really quick because I just saw the note that I wrote there. Is it is more than just attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some people that are highly competent people. And so like I think it was John Maxwell, you don't want a surgeon that has a great attitude, but they're not competent.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like, you'd rather have the guy that's got a bad attitude. So there's obviously a balance, but it's, there's some people that you get that they're really happy to be there and they're a good attitude, but there's some people that you get that are just highly competent.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a great job at whatever they do. And because a lot of times they don't do stuff that they're not good at.
Right.
And so they just don't do it.
Yes.
So anyway. True. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
That's it.